All right, guys, welcome to episode 14 of the Big Life Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Wickes, with the news champion of the Big Ten tournament, Miss Sam Carey. How are you doing, Sam? How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've just decided that fate is lining up in our favor. And listen, I know I'm no statistician and I know that there's a whole correlation doesn't equal causation, but the two hosts of the Big Life podcast happen to be 2023 Big Ten champions. And I think there has to be some causation in there, babes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we gotta get some better, some guests on here. Like, people should be pouring in wanting to be on this podcast. We just breed success, I guess, you know?
I mean, apparently there's something we do. There's a little bit of just good juju every time we get to hang out and chat. And I don't know, dreams are coming true. So it's been absolutely unreal. I am on a high. I also understand that work now needs to be done as well. But yeah, no, it was a crazy week, that is for sure.
Absolutely. So let's get into it a little bit more. You were crying on the field, a week ago, thinking your season and your career was going to be over, at the Martin Stadium. And then you, by the skin of your teeth, you make it eighth seed in the Big Ten tournament. Go on to then have three upsets against ranked teams in 1 week, back to back to back for, repeat of history in the Big Ten tournament title. Like, what is that like? Like, are you still processing? Have you figured it out? If so, tell me your secrets.
Nothing that has happened, I think, in the last 48 hours has really hit me yet. I remember when the final whistle blew against Wisconsin that I stood there. I was like, I haven't processed any of this. And it is pouring in, frankly, at this point. Like, people are finally getting to what I've been saying for the last 14 weeks about the Iowa Hawkeyes. But I mean, it started with winning our second ever Big Ten tournament title yesterday, which is incredible. And frankly, we were joking in the sense of our goal this whole year has been the NCAA tournament. Like, we wanted to be back in the NCAA tournament. We wanted to be there. I don't know that it truly crossed all of our minds that we were going to get the auto bid by winning the Big Ten tournament again. That wasn't really that trajectory that any of our minds went to. And, it just kind of through all that work happened in a long way. But on top of that, rankings come out most Mondays. And I think highest ranking I saw today for Iowa soccer is 14. That is the highest ranking in Iowa soccer history. It's the first, our highest before that was being ranked 19 in 2019. So being ranked 14th by College Soccer News and 17th by Top Drawer Soccer is history there. And then today the NCAA tournament drops, and we kind of thought if we had a win yesterday that we could do it today. And sure enough, not only were we the auto bid, but we, for the first time in program history, are seeded in the NCAA tournament and are playing again. So literally 4 weeks ago, I talk about on this podcast, me ugly crying on the field. Like, it's my last time playing on the Iowa soccer field. And apparently that was just really embarrassing because it wasn't. So there's a lot happening right now.
No, I mean, not only did you guys pull it off and get the auto bid, you were ranked your fifth seed in the NCAA tournament. You're hosting a game. Like, how was that, hearing your name be called and being called so high, and knowing that now not only did you make the tournament, which has been the goal of this whole season, but you're going to have your game on your field. Once again, you were all upset that you last time hosting. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. You ugly cried then, and I guess you were just wrong all season.
Dude, apparently it's I just need to stop ugly crying because it's making each moment more and more embarrassing when I ugly cry. No, I mean, I was expecting, like I said, we kind of thought we had a shot at hosting, but I thought that would be us getting an 8 seed. So, when you're going down the list, you're hearing names called. And frankly, our coach is a little mad. He's like, you guys didn't have that big of a reaction. We're like, well, we knew our name was getting called because we won. And so it's just a matter of when. But when they said 5 seed Iowa, that was pretty shocking to me. And just being oh my God. Frankly put, we were projected to finish 10th in the Big Ten this year. We finished 8th by the skin of our teeth. There's no sugarcoating that. We were in that tournament 8 seed by the skin of our teeth. And to be getting the same seed as y'all who won the conference is pretty weird. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So, I mean, it's exciting, but also, as our future guest in this episode will refer to, seeds also don't mean anything anymore besides where the game's being played. So there is a level of severity, as much as like I think everyone in the Iowa soccer program is kind of on a high right now. Tomorrow the work starts being done. But we've let ourselves live in the high a little bit, because I think that'd be too big of a moment to miss if we didn't.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to celebrate those moments as they come, because how often does that happen? Apparently in your career twice.
Apparently twice.
Um,
That's like that hasn't hit me. And I mean, some of the stuff that I keep finding out, like after we upset Penn State, which for those who don't know happened in overtime, which was dramatic in itself. We were the first ever 8 seed to make it to the championship since 2005. And I think we were like in the locker room after the game, like celebrating, doing whatever. And I said that out loud because I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, oh my God, like we're the first ever 8 seed to make it to the championship since 2005. And our freshman turned around and goes, I was born in 2005. And I was like, that's not a real year. Like, that's horrifying. So me in the 7th year, we're like, oh God, all right, we gotta go. This is getting bad, bro. So that was bad enough. And then in Big Ten soccer history, we're the first ever 8 seed to win the whole thing. So I mean, it's the Iowa way of doing things, apparently, which I haven't quite figured out why, but we love this little extra finesse.
yeah, I think you just had to make it all the way so that our favorite person right now, Mr. Dean Linke, could shout out the podcast a little bit and give you some props. I got to talk about it, Sam. I've heard about it so many times. If you want to go head over to the United Soccer Coaches podcast, me and Sam were over on there, had a full conversation with Mr. Dean Linke. We were a Girl Scout. I got to talk about it because apparently I'm the only person in the entire world who didn't know this. And I'm a little upset at you for hiding it. So give us the rundown.
Okay, we gotta like insert Girl Scout Sam Carey photo right here. Yes, I was a 13-year Girl Scout, kindergarten through senior in high school, and then I've like continued that. So I'm technically a lifelong member of Girl Scouts, Troop 492 forever. Um, okay, so it all started out like my family is a scouting family. My dad got his Eagle Scout. My dad was my brother's Boy Scout troop leader, and my mom was my Girl Scout troop leader. It was just something I did in kindergarten, and frankly, it was a nice little community away from soccer. It was no one that was ever in my soccer team. It was girls from my neighborhood in my elementary school, and that's just what we did. And it was something my parents were really passionate about me sticking through, and I never really understood why until I was frankly in college. And I'm really thankful. And like I said, my mom was my troop leader, and like she never did things the conventional Girl Scout way. Like we weren't exactly the troop that would be working on like sewing buttons or doing whatever. Like they taught us real life skills that I learned like a lot of people don't have, and I wouldn't have learned if it wasn't for Girl Scouts. So like as we got older and it kind of adapted from like the little like crafts that you might do at a random thing, like I remember when I got to high school, we had 3 girls in our troop. It was me and my 2 best friends from my Girl Scout troop. And so it wasn't like we were big or anything. And honestly, out of those 3 girls, all 3 of us were collegiate athletes. You know, I play obviously at Iowa. Another girl, Mackenzie Jones, who we've referred to a decent amount on this podcast, plays at Grand Valley right now. And my other best friend played D3 lacrosse at Trine University. And so obviously sports was our main priority, but it was just like life skills. So like through Girl Scouts, I learned how to change a tire. I learned how to change a fuse in my house. Like these were like just little like badges that we would make up to like learn life skills that I never would have learned. So like how to fill out taxes was like something we're like, let's just do a Girl Scout meeting on it. So like for me, it became something that I just learned so much about. And from that point, you know, one of my mom's biggest things was she wanted me to learn how to interview and talk to people. So she would just sign me up for random stuff to go interview for, to be put in front of people and have to talk about things. And I remember I went to an interview for something and I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I even interviewing for? And she's like, it's the board of directors. And I was like, what does that mean? And sure enough, I was interviewing to be a girl member on the board of directors of Girl Scouts of Eastern Missouri, which is a board where 25 like adults in the community, meaning like presidents of universities and CEOs of Anheuser-Busch and massive people in St. Louis, like sit and advise Girl Scouts of Eastern Missouri. And I, you know, interviewed and was selected to be the girl member. So I went to business meetings and sat in offices with CEOs of companies and communicated and talked about ideas, and just learning from that perspective. Like I have learned and really gotten so much of my identity through Girl Scouts, and like it's way more than selling cookies. And I don't think that's what people understand.
Yeah, that's incredible. I could have used some of those lifelong skills in my life here. I really wish I would have learned how to change a tire before I got to college. got a whole story on that. Me and teammate were stranded on the side of the road with no help for hours. So that would have been really, really helpful to come in. But that's incredible. That really is. And it's such an impressive story. And I think when people do hear it, like it's a double take a little bit. You always picture kind of the little girl on the side of the store, street selling you Girl Scout cookies. But to hear the impact it had on you and how lasting it is to just hear that you're still in it is really, really impressive. And that along with your book, you're getting married, all this other stuff that we heard about you that you've accomplished this year, you should be very, very proud.
Oh gosh. And apparently we're gonna add Big Ten champion to that list, which I don't know if I expected. I'm gonna be so honest. Like it's still I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna put it on right now. We were staring at it earlier.
I'm like, that's so annoying that like I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Let me start there. Second, that's so annoying because where are our hats?
You haven't gotten your hats yet?
No.
Bro,
no hats, no shirts, nothing. Nada.
That's a little tragic, I'm not gonna lie.
Right? Like that looks sick. It's all white.
Yeah, all white hats, gray shirts. I'm not gonna lie. Rocking the Big Ten soccer. Actually, funny story. Last time we won a Big Ten championship, we didn't get the shirts either because they sent the field hockey shirts to the soccer tournament or something like that. And they realized like the mistake. So we didn't get them. But then they shipped our shirts. Like they shipped the shirts to Iowa City. But the issue is like later that week, Iowa City was hosting the field hockey tournament. And like, I think Michigan won. I don't know. They won the field hockey tournaments and they're all like taking them out of the boxes and showing them on national TV. Like, and it says Iowa, or it says like Big Ten women's soccer champions. And so they took our shirts. And so it was a whole thing. So apparently shirts is a very chaotic situation.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't even know what happened with ours. I think I'd assume they sent our original stuff to Penn State. And then I heard a rumor. I don't know. Don't believe me fully, but I think they sent us the guys ones.
Oh,
There's something in there. I don't know if it was for our men's team because they did have a shot at the title, or if they were ours and they just had the men's stuff on it. If we had like 2 boxes of the men's. Either way, I want my hat, please.
That's valid. Jordyn just wants a Big Ten champion hat. I mean, both of us, we can like imagine podcasting in our dope sweatshirts plus our Big Ten champion hats.
There we see. That's the problem. I can't match the uniform right now.
Exactly.
I'm falling behind. We had a very, very different week than you. You went on to have 3 games. You got your 5th seed called. Very, very exciting. For us, we knew we were just kind of waiting for this moment. So we went off. We had our week of practice. We kind of focused on ourselves. We had a week to kind of really just reset and focus for the tournament, prepare ourselves emotionally, mentally, and physically after a long season. We did some team bonding. We went go-karting, which I got robbed of a victory, let me tell you. Absolutely robbed. I placed 3rd. There's no way. I mean, I was lapping people, Sam. Lapping people.
Why do I feel like there's more to this story? Like, I feel like I need some other teammates' perspectives on Jordyn's robbery.
We should have him. We should have Jeff come back on because he agrees. I mean, I was robbed of that victory. I disagree with whatever computers are making those decisions because I definitely won in my heart. But it was an interesting week. It was very exciting. We are also a 5th seed. We're gonna play Ohio at DeMartin, our first game here, and then we will go on to play the winners of Harvard and Maine in a BYU bracket.
It's just something that's still like crazy to believe. Like, we're here. I don't know when November happened. That's apparently last week. I don't know. It's the thing you dream of. Like I said, I mean, since November last year, and this is kind of the where Iowa soccer is coming from, is we didn't even make the Big Ten tournament last year. On Halloween last year, we were training for this season. And so for us, like, it was always, we wanted to be playing in November. Like, that's the goal, is to be one of, like, frankly put, there's 330 something teams, Division I soccer teams in the country, and all but 64 have their season over. And there's 64 teams that are still going and still training. And all you want to do is be one of those 64. And I think, we'd be remiss also for the Big Life podcast. We talk about Big Ten. A record 9 Big Ten teams are in that 64. And I think one thing that, both myself and Jordyn need to credit ourselves of is that shows how freaking incredible the Big Ten conference is. And even, we talk about next year adding in so many other great additions. Jordyn was the regular season Big Ten champion. And I was a Big Ten champion tournament of those 9 teams that made the Big Ten, or that made the NCAA. Like, that's crazy. And that I think I'm really excited for Big Ten to make a run this year. I think people are finally realizing how talented the Big Ten is. And it's going to be really a really fun journey to follow along with. And I'm thankful for those that are on it. And I hope more people kind of pick up. And I know Iowa City is going to be buzzing that the fact that the NCAA tournament goes through Iowa City in a way. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just talk about it, and the talent will just keep growing in our conference. You'll hear a little bit from Allie Cook from UCLA here, our interview guest, and how they're going to be joining the Big Ten. And the conference is just going to keep growing. 9 teams from one conference is absolutely insane. And to have 2 champs in one podcast, like, who would have thought? Like, if it couldn't be us, I'm so happy it was you. As Girls Soccer Network, Jen would say, it was a Cary-Tale. It's being your last year, it's got to be just so incredibly proud of you and proud of what we've done here, and to see it all kind of come to not a closing, because we still got a lot of games left to play here, still, but the last tournament, the last thing to check off the list. We went through non-conference, you went through conference, you went through the Big Ten tournament, and now this is it. Like, this is the last thing of the season, and it's a little bit, it's weird. It's weird to see it all kind of come to a point here. And this is truly it. We lost in the Big Ten tournament, but our season wasn't over, and now you come around here and it's like, you lose, you truly are done. And it's a weird thing to process, but as we talk about it, we got 2 champs here. I think we'd be remiss not to mention a champion on the field in footwear, our sponsor, Ida.
Absolutely. Ida Sports does so much for women's soccer and women's feet and everything that they cover. And they're champions of the game. They're championing everything that they're doing. They're pioneers, and we are so, so thankful. So check out Ida Sports for not only their footwear and everything else, but everything they advocate for, everything that they provide. They have so much information on their website. They publicize so much different articles, and it's really just a remarkable place and a remarkable community that Ida's created. And we're so, so thankful for them for sponsoring this podcast and really helping us be our best champions.
Thanks, Ida.
Okay, Jordyn, you said you have Ohio. You're from Ohio. I mean, that also has to be a fun little twist for you. How are you feeling going into your first NCAA game, which, if I'm not wrong, will be played Friday at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, good job. It's, I mean, I'm definitely an Ohio girly, so I do know a little bit about the school. I've been there maybe once or twice, but it's really, really exciting to see that we still got the respect, we felt like we deserved as a program, with the 5 seed being able to host. I think, we just move forward, like, this is it. Like, this is our season. This is what it is. Just like our principles have always been in the past, we're going to go out there and prepare to be our best on the day. And that's all there really is to it. Like Allie Cook said, when we feel like we're playing at our best, nobody can beat us. So that's all we really have to do, is focus on ourselves and to go out there and to give it all we got. There's nothing to save it for, anymore. There's nothing left. This is it. This is the NCAA tournament. This is big time. This is as big as it gets. And you're playing for something so incredibly huge to go and hold that national title. So we got to go out there and we're going to give it everything we have. First round's Ohio, and then we'll take the next step after that, after Friday. How are you guys feeling? What's your kind of mindset going into this?
Yeah, it's really, we're in a unique place right now in the sense of we are coming off a massive high, and that's a hard thing to kind of take, like, yeah, it's great, but it's also like, there's still so much work to be done, and there's such a huge opportunity in front of us. So like, at one point, it's not that, like, something I say about this team all the time is like, first of all, we're firing on cylinders at the right time. Apparently, the one thing about Iowa soccer is we know how to get hot as the season ends.
You hate conference play for some reason.
Iowa soccer hates conference play. Hot take.
Like, just play like this all year.
You know what? I've been saying that the whole season. It's crazy. Yeah, I think we finally have just tapped into what makes us special. Like, I love our group. I think we're fantastic in a lot of ways, but I would never call us the most skilled team in the world or the most technical team in the world. We don't play the prettiest soccer in the world. But the one thing we're able to do is we will do everything to win any battle. Like, we are back alley fighters. We want, we joke all the time that Iowa defends with everything. We were joking about that before the pod, but like, we score 1 goal and we're gonna defend you, and you're gonna have to break us down to score 1 back on us. And that's just kind of been our mentality and who we are. And I think we've hit that to a new stride and a new confidence. So, I mean, after beating you, which was a great comeback win for us, I know, I'm sorry, I had to do it. You go to Columbus, Ohio, which first of all, like I have to credit you've played there too, like an incredible stadium, gorgeous facilities, and like it's hard to not let it take your breath away a little bit and like enjoy the moment, process the moment, but also don't let the moment affect you in all of these different ways and feelings. And, you know, we go and we play number 5 in the country. We're the 8th seed that barely got in. We're not expected to do anything. And that's something that I think the Iowa team loves, is when we don't have any expectations on us. We just play free. And I don't know if it really hit me what we were going to do until about 20 minutes left in this Penn State game. And I'm like, oh, like we're winning this game. There's no question. And game goes into overtime. And at this point, like I'm like trying to like, I'm like, okay, what are the overtime scenarios? And like one of the big differences is like NCAA no longer has golden goal. So it's like no matter what, you're playing for 20 minutes of overtime. And so we score 5 minutes in, great goal. Kelly McGorty just composes all heck to finish it. And one of the big things we actually got a lot of like comments on was like, we did not really have a celebration when we scored. And a lot of people asked us, like, you guys weren't going crazy, like everything. We're like, because we still have 15 more minutes where we had to defend y'all. Like, it wasn't exactly like we could shut down and enjoy it. So you go off of that high. And the biggest thing we talked about after Thursday's game was, all right, you just beat number 5 in the country. You upset them to get to the Big Ten championship. But that was Thursday. And how do you deal with Sunday now? Because you have a great Wisconsin team that already beat us in a regular season. Frankly, it's a rematch, like we said, of the 2021 where we beat Penn State and then had to play Wisconsin and beat Wisconsin that year. So like Wisconsin's ready to like come at us guns blazing for revenge. And how do you handle that? And, you know, there's so much adversity in that Wisconsin game. If you look at it, you know, I will fully say I don't think it's the prettiest soccer game to ever watch, but it's just two teams that are leaving it all on the line. And we draw a PK about 20 minutes in, and Josie Durr, 7th year, puts that away. And then 5 minutes later, Wisconsin gets a PK called for them and goes to VAR, gets taken back, you know. So I think like everything we could have done happened in this game, and everything we could have gone through. And I mean, when that final whistle blew and we won 1-0, I mean, it was just incredible. So now we're on that high, but that's also done now. And now we have Bucknell in Iowa hosting a game, and that's a new challenge. So it's just about how do you take away the high, enjoy it, process it, move on. And that's what we're on a mission to do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to plug the podcast again. I mean, you faced off and you defeated Emma Jaskinek, who we had on the podcast here. But, you know, I think it's definitely maybe wasn't the prettiest soccer, but it was the most entertaining for sure. You had me on the edge of my seat. I mean, the efficiency of Iowa to have 1 goal on 1 shot in a PK and come out with the win was absolutely incredible. I was a big fan of that game. I just got to be a fan and just watch, which is really fun because I haven't been able to do that in a long time being in season. But I mean, I got a little bit emotional watching you guys and watching it all. And I mean, I love the video of you on the Instagram. We'll have to like put a clip in here of you
Can we
just
talk about that? Okay,
crying.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I love Iowa's media people. Matt, you're great at your job. I love what you do. Why
don't change the thing.
Let's put a camera on Sam Carey after everything that's happened this year and just make a 30-second montage of her sobbing and put it all over social media. And let's collaborate it with NCAA soccer too. And just really everywhere just have this ugly video. And then today we're at Carver. You know, we're at the first home opener of the Iowa women's game. We're walking in with the trophy. Sure enough, me sobbing on the Jumbotron. And I'm like, guys, we have got to stop.
I don't think you should stop a thing. That was my favorite part of it. Just it was a real close up too, just pure 30 seconds of your tears. I was like, this is incredible. Someone deserves a raise. Way to go to the media team.
Absolutely unreal. And like, I mean, you got to shut it out too. You know, mentioned Emma Jaskinek, like an absolutely phenomenal player. You know, my heart in a lot of ways just like really does break for her, but offensive player of the Big Ten tournament, not an easy thing to do. And so like an absolutely remarkable play. And I'm excited to see what Wisconsin does in this tournament, because it's definitely going to be a good run.
Emma Jaskinek, offensive player of the tournament. But I mean, come on. We got the defensive player of the tournament right here, Sam Carey. I called it. I take all credit for this. I mean,
I think if decided it's just you. Because after, you know, when I was walking back to the bus after the Michigan State game, you're like, if you're going to beat me, you have to win it all. That was your exact quote to me. And you mentioned like Big Ten tournament teams too. So I think it's just Jordan Wickus over here is just calling the shots.
Hey man, I mean, people should listen to me more often. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Love to see it. I'm so incredibly proud of you. Congratulations. I'm really jealous of those many trophies you guys got. Big Ten tournament, man. It left a little bit of a sour taste in our mouth for sure. For me, like my mom was literally like 10-15 minutes away from the stadium with my sister for a tournament already. Like it would have been so incredibly perfect. So I had a lot of emotions to get through on a personal level before I went and cheered for you, but I cheered and I cheered loud. And you know, like just what a Cary-Tale, man. What a Cary-Tale.
It was only because it's the 5th year. So like your senior year, you can have it too. That's fine.
I was gonna say I don't get a fifth year, so we better speed this process up a bit. Like
I will say Jordan's text on my phone, you get back to a phone after a big game and you have so many texts and people that are just feeling love, but Jordan's like updates minute by minute or like little texts here or there, like at a funny moment it was prime comedy to come back to.
you're welcome. I just, I thought you could use a good update on the game you were currently in, just in case you wanted a replay. I would have it there for you. You're welcome.
All right. Well, Jordan, everything's incredible. We talk about winning a Big Ten tournament. So many amazing things to come with it. But winning a national championship is a whole nother beast. And our guest on this episode has done it before and is on a set journey that we're both determined to stop to do it again. So we are so thankful to have Allie Cook, reigning national champ for UCLA, on the pod. Also a Soccerista United mentor, which we have to give a little plug for everything that they do there. She's absolutely remarkable, and we're so thankful that she spent some more time with us.
We have a very special guest for you guys today, Miss Allie Cook, a forward from UCLA with 9 goals and 1 assist on the season, national champ from last year, and this year's Pac-12 champ. Welcome to the podcast, Allie. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm really good. I'm excited to be here.
That is awesome. Okay, so obviously, typically in an interview, we'd go chronologically. We want to hear about your story, and we're going to dive into that. But I think the biggest thing that, Jordan and I were just talking about, and I'm sure everyone's thinking, it's Monday. It's selection show Monday. A bunch of stuff just happened. You have a number 1 seed. Can you talk about what it was like, being in the room when the 1 seed was announced and everything like that just happened a couple hours ago for you?
Yeah. I mean, it was really exciting. Going into it, we were kind of guessing that's where we would end up, but nothing's ever guaranteed. You never know. So it's really nice to see, but it doesn't mean much if you're not winning. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, cool. But we have to take every game super seriously. So
yeah, of course. That's awesome. And I guess right away, looking at the matchup, it was one of those that I immediately kind of like, oh, shoot, there is history between an upset with UC Irvine and UCLA. So can you talk about a little bit of the buzz immediately? What's the reaction drawing Irvine too?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we played them early this season and we beat them 4-0, right? It was good feeling, but then it's in the back of everybody's mind of they beat us 2 years ago in the tournament in the exact same position. We were in this high seed. They were complete underdogs. So I think there's that going into it, which, with a little bit, it can be good because it's makes you really take the game seriously and not take it for granted and look past it. But I think that is a little bit of a little extra, not stress, but it's in the back of everybody's mind for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Going a little bit backwards now, I think the questions we get asked the most are about the recruiting process and just kind of how you ended up where you are. So originally you committed to Oregon. Can you tell us a little bit about how you went through your recruiting process, what that was like, and how you ended up there?
Yeah, for me, I'm trying to think. This was a while ago now. I had always kind of been the youngest on my team, so I felt like where I was on my club team, we were obviously an ECNL, good competitive team. So it kind of flowed naturally where there was a lot of coaches at my games. Even when I say there was girls on my team that were 2 years school-wise ahead of me because of how they used to do the age. So it was by 8th grade, there's a bunch of college coaches watching already. So kind of for me by then it was okay, I knew I was going to play. It was more just where, and for me, it was deciding, okay, what coaches or what are my requirements or what do I want from a school? And kind of narrowing it down and emailing those coaches. So for me, it was I want to be somewhat close to home, not I need to be able to drive, but I don't want to be flying multiple hours. Like it's a big deal that like I can go home, say like for one short weekend, or my parents are able to see me. So that was a big part of my decision making. And then yeah, just finding like the coaches that fit right for you, the school that's right for you. It just made it a lot easier of like in terms of there's so many teams, right? There's like 330 just D1 teams alone. So just like narrowing it down, because I think at first it can be overwhelming. But kind of knowing what you want, and like being in the driver's seat is like a key thing.
That's awesome. And then after a couple of years of Oregon, you obviously make the transfer to UCLA. Can you talk a little bit just about that decision making and how UCLA, you know, a familiar opponent for you at Oregon, really worked out?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It was not necessarily my plans originally. But I didn't know I was going to graduate from Oregon early, just going in because I had credits. And so it was, for me, it was like before COVID even happened, it was graduate in 3, do a master's in a year. So like in my 4 years, I could get it paid for, right? Then COVID hit. So then it was like, oh, I have 5 years now. Didn't know if I wanted to take it, kind of just waiting. And then I graduate from Oregon, got into their executive MBA program, and was kind of set to do that for my 4th year. But I just was like, I didn't necessarily love everything about being there. Wanted to be closer to home, all these kind of like not one factor, it's just like a multitude of things. And I was like, now's the time. Like, I don't have to be here. I graduated, got my degree. Like, there's not really anything holding me back necessarily. So I was like, okay, I'm going to like just go into the transfer portal, not knowing anything, because I didn't know what it was like. I'm like, is anybody even going to reach out? Like, I didn't know what it was going to be like. So it's kind of a big jump of like, you're leaving all this behind, like your scholarship, your program that you're in, your whole team. And there's no going back. So when I decided to enter the transfer portal, it was just like talking with my parents. And they had asked, okay, where would be like your ultimate goal schools to go to, regardless of like, oh, if they're reaching out, but like maybe you reach out to those schools. Cause it's like, okay. And UCLA, well, I was like, that's definitely one. And I'm like, I don't know. Like they also at this time, I think had just gotten the new, like my new coach. So I just didn't know. And I had an old assistant reach out to her, and that's how I got in touch. And yeah, talked to them, came on a visit, and basically I was like, all right, that's like, I've always dreamed of going to UCLA. So it was a very easy decision.
Definitely. I think going in the transfer portal, I mean, is always a scary thing because, like you said, it's so uncertain. Where it's different from the recruiting process is that, you know, you're not losing anything, where when you go in the transfer portal, you are risking that previous, you know, security that you did have. Can you give us a little bit insight of kind of like what the portal is and what it looks like? You know, you said you didn't know much about it. What did you learn from it?
Yeah. Well, I learned that they basically can see, like they have access. I mean, I guess through obviously like Instat or what it's changed to now, they have access to like all your games, all your film. So it was like, I don't need to create like any highlights or whatever. They're like, oh, yep, saw your goals. Awesome. They have all your contact info, and they often reach out to like your coaches. And I know the girls that like from UCLA, even that have entered the portal, and it's kind of, oftentimes it can be like almost an immediate kind of flood of coaches at first, which is can be overwhelming, because you go from, most people I've talked to, they go from like, oh my gosh, like what if nothing comes of this? And then all of a sudden you're in the actual portal, and within 2 hours of being in, you might have like 5 coaches reaching out to you, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is exciting. So it's also exciting, but kind of nerve-wracking. But there's not like anything you can see in like the portal. Like you just you get an email saying you're in the portal, and then like coaches will just kind of like reach out to you and email you and see kind of what you're looking for.
So now you're at Oregon. Did you know you were going to take your 5th year after you decided to transfer?
Mostly. Yeah, that was kind of my initial plans, because I thought if I'm only staying and playing one season, then it's only like 4 months of being at the school. However, I did kind of, as in a joke last year, I was like, oh, if we win the whole thing, like I'm going to be done. Like, who doesn't want to go out on that high? And then we get there, and I'm like, okay, like once we were kind of in the playoffs, I'm like, I don't want to be done here. So I took that back. So I did have plans of staying 2 years and very glad I did.
All right. You alluded to it. Let's talk about it. Last year, obviously you go on this great journey. You win the national championship. Talk about that. Like, we just want to hear everything.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was funny because I kind of got made fun of on the team. Like, it was my first time ever making the NCAA tournament. So that in itself was really exciting, being in the selection show, like that auditorium, sitting there and like, wow, like our name, there was no doubt our name was getting called. So that one was awesome. And then just like the intensity of playoff games it's so cool because I feel like when you're in just like conference play, especially in Pac-12 and there's no tournament, you don't have especially if you're not on a team that's winning the conference, there's no games that feel like this is for all the marbles, right? So that was like the really cool thing about the tournament. And it was fun. Like, so our first game, we played NAU, and obviously the previous year before I was there, that's when they lost to UCI. So there was a bunch of nerves going into like first round. Okay, yeah, it's not a great team, but like you saw what happened last year. So then girls were literally almost crying when we scored the first goal because it was just like such a relief. And then I think from there, it's just every game we kind of like experienced something different. We ended up in PKs, and I think it was in the Sweet 16. Now I can't remember. And then like overtime goal against Virginia in the Elite Eight. And then obviously like the Final Four is so cool. Just like the experience of being there with the 4 teams. There's like a banquet, and all these things like I've never experienced, but there was girls on my team that like had been there. My old roommate had been there twice before in the Final Four. So it was weird being like, along with a freshman, of being like, this is my first time doing all this. So, I mean, and then the actual championship game is still like, sometimes I'm like, wow, that really happened. Like we were down 2-0 with 10 minutes left and somehow came back. And yeah, it was really, really cool to experience.
All right.
Yeah,
I gotta ask, we talk about in soccer all the time. I feel like my team at least references like the soccer gods, the things like you feel like the game is in your fate. Like, was there a moment during that game where you make this massive comeback that you just knew like we're gonna win this?
I think for me, when we scored the tying goal with 16 seconds left, I was like, okay, we're winning this game. Like from there, I mean, obviously there's a huge momentum shift once we do that. But like in my mind, whether it took scoring in overtime or PKs, like I was like, no, we've got this. But I don't know if I can say before that goal that I was that confident.
Yeah, that's gotta be like, that's one of those things where you're down with that much time left to like really stay in it and to stay focused and then to come back and win it all. I mean, it's always an incredible feeling, I'm sure. Never experienced it before, but winning any sort of title, is so euphoric. To win the national title under those circumstances, I can't even imagine just like
Yeah.
how amazing that is. I mean, a little bit, your 5th year now, and now you're winning the Pac-12 tournament this year. How was that feeling for you?
It was cool. I'm like, it was interesting because for some girls, this is their 3rd title in 4 years. And like, it's cool to be on a team where it's like, okay, yeah, like it's cool to win the Pac-12, but you saw last year, like we didn't need to win the Pac-12 to win the whole thing. And like, where's our main focus? Like obviously on the NCAA tournament. But for me, I'm like, this is something like I've wanted for 5 years now. It ended up being an interesting way we won it because it was a tie against Stanford. So it was a little anticlimactic with that, just of like, oh, we tied, but like, yay, we won. And it didn't come down to some big game of like, but it's cool because I said to some of my teammates, in the 5 years of me playing in the Pac-12, every year I had gone up in spots in rankings of Pac-12 finish. So it felt really good to end up on top.
That's awesome. And, though it may not necessarily affect you being a 5th year, this was the last year of the Pac-12 in a lot of scenarios.
Yes.
And especially with UCLA now jumping to the Big Ten, which is one of the main reasons we had to have you on the Big Life podcast. What's that kind of feeling like about changing conferences and all these different things that's going to bring?
Yeah, I think obviously there's talk of that, like, wow, literally last Pac-12 game ever. Last time we're going to be playing these teams in like this kind of setting. I think it will be exciting because obviously you saw like there's a bunch of, I don't know how many Big Ten teams made the tournament, but more than the Pac-12, I'm pretty sure. So it's exciting to be in a conference where it's like surrounded by like such like Pac-12 is already super talented, but like even more talented and competitive. So I think people are excited. I mean, I don't know if I would love the traveling aspect of it, but it is fun to be in a whole new thing. And like Big Ten has the conference tournament. That's kind of fun. And like good practice for the NCAA tournament. So I feel like there's excitement around it for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do keep joking that like Iowa needs to draw the like late October home game against UCLA. Like introduce y'all to some like Midwest weather real quick.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we want the opposite. We want to go there. We want to get some tan going.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All the teams are gonna be like, let's go to California in October, first weekend of November. Like
That's when I want to go. Yeah.
yeah.
For us,
will-
we found out you guys were joining kind of based on like social media and like watching our TVs. How did you guys find out that you were going to be leaving the Pac-12 and coming and joining the Big Ten?
I think it was kind of the same thing. Like it was announced on social media, and then you get a thing from your like athletic director, like an email, and we're like, yep, it's actually real and it's okay. Yeah.
Was it ever like a conversation or like was it just like all of a sudden out of the blue?
I think it was very much all of a sudden out of the blue.
That's crazy. That's gotta be because I mean it's one thing for you to join our conference because I mean ours was still established, like nobody's leaving it, but to join a completely new thing and just find out on social media like that, like what were the conversations like? Were people excited, nervous, shocked? Like what was
I think people were confused, and this was before all the other schools were kind of jumping out of the Pac-12. So it was like, why are we leaving? Like what's going on? I don't understand. A little confused and maybe upset. But now that all the teams have realigned conferences, then it's like, okay. And it's now like the normal, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So jumping forward to this year, obviously, you know, games start on Friday for the NCAA tournament. You have a big game against UC Irvine, and looking forward back to back. Like, what is the goals and what is like the current like mentality within your group right now, like aiming for that back to back and everything?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, win the thing. That's the ultimate goal. And we've talked about it. Like, you got to take each game by game. And I mean, we're confident in the aspect of like, we know we're a good team. We play good soccer. And if we play at our best, like we're like, I don't know if any team really can like play at that level. So it's about bringing our best to every game to be like, no, you can't like hang with us for 90 minutes. So that's kind of how we like our mindset and how we're going into it.
Yeah, is without the tournament is like there that little bit of added pressure for you lose, you're out. Like this is kind of for all the marbles. Like what's your kind of approach to that mindset aspect of it?
Yeah. I know it kind of hit me. I was like, this could be my last ever soccer game. That's how I have to treat it. Like you just don't know what's going to happen. Like obviously I want to play after, but it's still, you don't know. So and it's like it could be my last game at UCLA for sure. So I think it adds the extra motivation and fire. For me, like I am not like, I don't really like get anxious before games. So like, it's good to get myself like excited or nervous a little bit. And I think maybe that comes with the position, because I think if I was a defender, it might be a very different situation. So I think it's good for me of like, okay, yeah, you got to like treat this as this could be your last game. Give like that extra effort and be really like tenacious. So
do you have like a pregame ritual that you go through or anything superstitious?
no, not really. Not like anything particular. Like our game day, there's a group of us that like go get coffee and like go on a walk, those kind of things, but not anything. I actually I feel like I do stuff so I'm not superstitious. So maybe that's superstitious in the own way, but I'm like, no, like, people are like left, right cleat. Like I'll switch it up every so often just to be like, whatever.
You just love a little chaos in your life. You got to mix it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Sam cannot relate.
No, I was like, the inner person in me is dying a little bit, but that might be the defender in me. So I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So you alluded to it. You want to continue to play. That's the ultimate goal. What do you think that's going to look like for you? Like where are we leaning? Where's our heads at right now?
I mean, what I'm looking for right now, put my name in the draft, see how that goes. for me, yeah, like NWSL would be the goal. But I'm at a point where I love soccer, and I want to continue playing it for as long as I can if it can make me, somewhat of a living. So regardless of kind of how that goes, like there's other routes too.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere else, who knows?
Are you going to be graduating with your master's as well? Or your
Yes.
What is
Yeah.
I do have a question because when we were looking you up for this, you're a graduate student in the Transformative Coaching and Leadership
Yes.
program of the UCLA School of Education and Formative Studies.
Mhm.
What is that?
So it is a lot. It's basically for people that want to be in athletic, well, like what it's geared towards is like athletic administration or like actual coaches or just like kind of like leadership positions. So kind of like the foundational piece that it's like started on is John Wooden, who obviously coached at UCLA and super remarkable coach. So a lot of their like classes are kind of based off of some of his teachings or like compare his philosophies to other coaches. So that's kind of what it's about, if that makes sense. If that gives you a little insight into what it looks like.
It does for sure. So after, obviously you want to keep playing for as long as possible. Is the goal post career to then go into coaching?
No, honestly not. I don't think that's, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, just the
Yeah,
master's.
the masters, and that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. It allowed me to keep playing. And I did have like really good application to like a leadership position in business, is what I took from it. More so. So that's kind of how I was like using it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You are a part of Girls Soccer Network's own mentorship program, Socceroos United, which for those who are listening and do not know, it's a mentorship program where we match a college athlete with young soccer players who just want to learn from the game. As a mentor in that program, what did it mean to you? What are some of the things that you got out of the program?
Well, it's been really cool. So the two girls I got paired up with are both kind of from the LA area. So I got to see both of them at this past game, and I've seen them at previous games before. And it's just really cool to see, like, one, I get to like, I've been also like texting them, get to see their success, and then they get to come watch and cheer me on. And I'm like, it's really cool to be kind of like that role model for them and be somebody that, when you were in their position, like completely like look up to and be like, wow, I want to be like them. So it's like a really cool like program that I got to do and have really appreciated just like the connection I've made with them.
Looking at that mentorship program, what's kind of the one piece of advice you give to these girls that look up to you and kind of want to follow in your footsteps?
I think for me, like, I think how I also play, it kind of like reflect a little bit, but like, just like hard work, like nobody, regardless of how, like, maybe you're not having the best day technically, but like nobody can take away if you're working your butt off. Like that's something that you can control regardless of other things. So I think when you're young, like set some goals and like really give your best effort and like set a standard for what you think is your best effort. Yeah. And also like, I think confidence is huge. And if you can continue to build that and work on that, that will take you so far. Because playing confident can be like a lights out difference for any player.
All right. We did talk about it a bit. Unfortunately, your college career is starting to come to an end. You're hoping it ends in a trophy. Jordyn and I, who are also both in the tournament, are hoping to stop that in some sort of looking back on your college experience, what is one thing you would say to that like freshman coming in that you wish you would have known?
Oh, this is hard. Everybody's journey is going to look very different. And that freshman year is often very, very difficult and not always enjoyable. And not the way you want it to go. But like I feel like everybody says this, so that's why I'm like, hesitant to say this, but like literally by the end, you'll be like, wow, that was truly something that was like so special of like an experience that you're going to be like so grateful for the time. So just to like truly appreciate all that you have around you, all the people, your coaches, and the school, and like the one time in your life where you're going to be around so many people so like you, like you, where they're in the same stage of life, same interests, and to really like cherish the moment.
That's great advice. I would definitely have to second off on that. Another question we get all the time, other than the recruiting, is about balance. So you mentioned that you're in the same state of life as all these girls. How do you go out about balancing, competing at the highest level, in your case, but also balancing the academic portion and the social life and just being a normal college kid?
Yeah. I think you have to for me, it's like a little bit easier. Some people always want to like, if you're around your soccer teammates all the time, often the topic can be soccer. And I think I get really exhausted from that. And so I try not to talk about soccer when we're not at soccer. And with those people, it'll be anything else. So I think that's a key thing of keeping your like soccer kind of limited to like soccer time frame. And then I think like really planning ahead for balancing if you have a lot in school. And then social life, like find people from other teams so you can like be friends with them. But like, so it's like still similar, but like not just soccer. And you get like, it's refreshing. For me this year, like I actually like am nannying for a family and I find it so refreshing because I go and drive to their house. I'm in like an actual home for a while. I'm with an 8-year-old and it's not about soccer. And it's just awesome to like get that like time away from, soccer and your same teammates that you've seen for the past 4 months straight.
No, that's absolutely awesome. We just want to say thank you so much for spending your time with us. We know you're incredibly busy. We're about to get on a crazy journey through this NCAA tournament, and
yes,
insights was so amazing. So thank you so much, Allie.
Well, no, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much to Allie for coming on. An incredible story, an incredible person. Definitely some great advice to take there, and to be a national champ. I'm so glad that you had your moment and that now me and Sam can be so determined to stop it. Being Big Ten champs is one thing, being a national champ is a whole nother. And while you have 2 Big Ten champs here, hopefully at the end of this, nice little endeavor we've journeyed on with our podcast here, at the end of it, you'll have a national champ between the 2 of us. So that's really excited for this NCAA tournament moving forward. And we really appreciate Allie for coming on and sharing her story with us.
Of course, we just have to take those nuggets of wisdom that she gave us and apply it to our own lives. And it's that simple.
Duh. I mean, she gave us pretty much like the secret recipe.
Exactly. No, Jordyn, big matchup on Friday against Ohio. So happy for you. We're versing Bucknell in Iowa City on Friday as well at 6. And then all roads are to Cary, North Carolina. And I'm excited to follow along with you, man.
I'm so excited. This is what we play for. This is what the whole season comes down to. And it's real and it's big time. And this is the big life. Living it.
We made it, man. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. I know emotions are everywhere. We're stoked. We're nervous. We're excited. I mean, I think I'm feeling everything at one time to the point where I'm not feeling anything right now. I know Jordyn's gone through her own stuff and she's a freaking trooper in everything that she does. And I can't wait to see her kick some butt in the tournament as well. I get to cheer for Michigan State now. As long as you're not playing me, I get to cheer. So it's that simple. This is where the Big Ten like bands together and we root for each other once, that doesn't affect us. That's simple. So I'm so excited. Tune in Friday, 2 big games going on, and we're going to keep you updated from there.
Yeah, get the dual screen going.
Oh, yeah. Dual monitor, Iowa, Michigan State. That's what everyone needs to be sending us pictures of on Friday night. That's how you need to spend your time.
Boom. DMs are open.
Thank you all, and soccer on.
Bye, guys.